देवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जायमुदीरये नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः नमो पंकजनाभाय नमो पंकजमालिने नमो पंकजनेत्राय नमस्ते पंकजांग्रये हरे कृष्णा. Welcome all of you all for a SRIMAD Bhagavatam class. So we have been discussing chapter 15 of Canto 1, which is called the Pandavas Retire Timely. I think we have discussed till verse number 17. So I'll just do a quick recap of what we have done in this chapter and then continue. Hopefully we'll try to complete this chapter today. So basically this chapter begins with Arjuna coming back from Dwarka. So we saw the previous chapter. Arjuna had gone to Dwarka, and by the time Lord Krishna had already departed. And when Arjuna comes back to Hastinapur, Yudhishthira is asking a lot of speculative questions to Arjuna. Did you not respect Brahmanas? Did you not respect women? Why are you so depressed? And then finally Yudhishthira is asking Arjuna, is Krishna left this world? So Arjuna, first of all, he is feeling very strong separation from Krishna, and the speculative inquiries of Yudhishthira confuses Arjuna all the more. So here the word used is Krishna Vishlesha Karishita. So Arjuna is feeling a great sorrow due to separation from Krishna. And the verses explain how Arjuna's mouth and heart becomes dried up, and Arjuna has lost his luster, and he couldn't reply properly to Yudhishthira's question. And Arjuna, who is such a powerful warrior, is crying in separation from Krishna. And he's feeling that Krishna, who was his best friend, Sakyam, Maitrim, Sauradham, Krishna was not only his best friend, Krishna was an intimate relative of Arjuna, because Arjuna was married to Lord Krishna's sister Subhadra Maiya. So Arjuna is very intimately connected to Krishna. So we were discussing that how Arjuna would spend a lot of time in Dwarka and Lord Krishna would spend a lot of time in Hastinapur. Very, very close relationship. So Arjuna is remembering all those beautiful leelas, that all the beautiful times he spent with Krishna. And then he says this verse, Vanchitoham Maharaja Harina Bandhurupina Yena me prahatam tejo deva vispapanam mahat. Arjuna says, my dear king, so Yudhishthira's question was, has Krishna left? So Arjuna answers, Vanchitoham Maharaja Harina Bandhurupina. Now we are bereft of the association of Krishna, Hari, who is my very dear friend, Bandhurupina. And Arjuna is saying, my dear Yudhishthira, after Lord Krishna has left this world, my power is no longer with me. That power that Arjuna had, Deva Vismapanam Mahat, the power that Arjuna had where he astonished even great demigods, Arjuna has lost all his power. And then Arjuna says, Yasya shana viyogena loko hi apriya darshana uktena rahito yesha mritaka prochyate yata. So Arjuna is saying, my dear Yudhishthir, without Krishna, my body is like a dead body without any soul. So Krishna is the life of everyone. Srila Prabhupada explained in that purport, if you all remember, Prabhupada says that our body is valuable because the Atma is present in the body. And the Atma is valuable because the Atma is part and parcel of Krishna. So ultimately, what is valuable in this world is Krishna. And if Krishna leaves us, or we don't have that connection with Krishna, Shunyaitam Jagat Sarvam Govinda Virahe Name. Without Krishna, everything is null and void. So Arjuna is in this way telling Yudhishthira that Krishna has left us and gone. And then the next section, verse number 7 to 17, Arjuna is remembering all the various accomplishments in his life, all the various achievements in his life, and he's giving credit to each of this achievement to Krishna. So he says, only by Krishna's mercy, and then he speaks a set of verses 7 to 17, 10, 11 verses. He says, only by Krishna's mercy, I won the hand of Draupadi, which was very difficult to attain because all the great kings are come to marry Draupadi. Only by Krishna's mercy. Even though Arjuna did that, but Arjuna is giving credit to Krishna. And then he says, only by Krishna's mercy, I defeated Indra and allowed Agni to devour the Kandav forest, Kandav one. And it is only by Krishna's mercy that Maya Danav surrendered to me, and by the help of Maya Danav, we have such a wonderful assembly house. So Arjuna is remembering all the highlights of his life. And he says, by Krishna's mercy, Bhima could defeat Jarasandha. And all these kings who have been captivated by Jarasandha, they all came to pay homage to Yudhishthir Maharaj and accepted him as the Samrat of the world. And then Arjuna says, by Krishna's mercy, all the people who offended Draupadi, Krishna decided to kill all of them and loosen the hairs of the wives of all the Kauravas. And then Arjuna is remembering how when, so basically all this remembrances is right from the beginning, Draupadi's marriage, one after another, very sequentially. And when they were in the forest, right, 13 years in the exile, that time Durvasa Muni comes there. Duryodhana had sent Durvasa Muni, we were discussing the story, to trouble the Pandavas. But by Krishna's mercy, Durvasa, he didn't curse them, rather he was completely satisfied and he walked away from there. And then Arjuna says, by Lord Krishna's mercy, I could defeat Shiva, and Shiva was so pleased with me that he awarded me his Pashupata Astra. And not only Shiva, all the great demigods also awarded their weapons. And then Arjuna says, in my same body, generally to go to Swarga, one has to leave one's body and take another body. But Arjuna says, in my same body, I went to Swarga. And there I was given half a seat, Ardha Asana. I was honored there because Arjuna was a devotee of Krishna. And then when he was in Swarga, the demigods approached Arjuna because there was one demon called Nivata Kavacha that the demigods also couldn't conquer. So they told Arjuna, now you have come to heaven, please do us one favor. And Arjuna single-handedly killed Nivata Kavacha, whom all the demigods couldn't kill. And Arjuna is not feeling proud about it. He's feeling that it's all by Krishna's grace that all this could happen. And then he remembers that how during that 13th year of exile, when they were in, this incognito basically, that time they were in the kingdom of Virata. All the Kauravas had attacked the kingdom of Virata, and Arjuna single-handedly defeated them. And again in the Kurukshetra war, which just happened recently, that Arjuna is remembering, Krishna helped Arjuna to destroy the ocean of the warriors in the Kaurav Sena. And in this way, Arjuna is remembering all these beautiful incidences. And then he says, Bhishma, Drona, Karna, Bhurishrava, Shailya, Jayadratha, Bhalika, all these powerful warriors were throwing their powerful weapons on Arjuna, but not even a hair of Arjuna's body was affected. Krishna protected Arjuna. And then after the death of Abhimanyu, when Arjuna was trying to kill Jayadratha, it was a long day, the horses were very, very tired. Did we discuss verse 17? I think we discussed. Yes, no? 17 we have to start? Okay, let's do 17. So te vrata कुमति नंदात्मद ईश्वरो में यत्पाद पद्मं अभवाय भजन्ति भव्या मां श्रान्तवाहं अरयोरतिनो भुविस्तं न प्राहरन् यत् अनुभाव निरस्त चित्ता. So he says, only by Krishna's mercy my enemies neglected me when I was standing on the ground without a chariot. So the story is like this. When Abhimanyu was killed, it was, I think I told you the story of Abhimanyu and Jayadratha last time, I think. Did I tell about Jayadratha? I told you that story. But in short, so basically when Abhimanyu was killed, Arjuna was very far away and Jayadratha had blocked that Chakravyu so that the other Pandavas couldn't enter. So that day night, Arjuna takes a vow that next day I'll kill Jayadratha or I'll enter into fire before sunset. So the Kaurav warriors were arranged in such a way that Jayadratha was right at the end. And the game plan that day was not to allow Arjuna to reach Jayadratha before sunset. So Krishna maneuvered the chariot in such a way that Krishna was taking Arjuna ahead, straight towards Jayadratha. At one point, the horses became very tired. And Krishna tells Arjuna, the horses are very tired, they can't run further. They are wounded and tired. So what does Arjuna do? Arjuna tells Lord Krishna, okay, you take care of the horses. So Arjuna got down from his chariot. No chariot, nothing. Standing on the ground, Arjuna fought with all the Kauravas. And when Lord Krishna was trying to take care of the horses, Prabhupada explains in the purport, Lord Krishna tells Arjuna, the horses need water. And on the battlefield, there's no water. So Arjuna shot an arrow on the ground and water came. Literally a lake was created there. And Lord Krishna took care of the horses. So Arjuna is remembering this and he says, it is by Krishna's mercy that the enemies didn't harm me on that day. And then Arjuna says, it is my mistake that I engaged that Supreme Lord who is worshipped by all great personalities. I engaged him as my chariot driver. So Arjuna is feeling a little sad also that I took so much service from Lord Krishna. So in this way, Arjuna is remembering so many incidences in his life. But the most important, all these incidences, these slides are keep changing. But the most important point there on top is only by Krishna's mercy. Arjuna gives credit to everything in his life to Krishna's grace. So this is what we need to understand from Arjuna. That whatever we do in life, if it is not Krishna's mercy, Krishna's grace on us, we will not be able to do. So there is nothing to be proud of. So in this way, Arjuna is remembering all these various incidences. And then Arjuna will continue from text 18. Narmani udhara ruchira smita shobitani He Partha he Arjuna sake kuru nandaneti Sanjalpitani naradeva hridi sprashani Smarturlutanti hridayam mama madhavasya. So Arjuna remembering, speaking all this, he is remembering all the beautiful interactions he has had with Krishna. He tells Yudhishthira, my dear king, Lord Krishna's joking and his friendly talks was so beautiful and it was decorated with Lord Krishna's beautiful smile. And Lord Krishna would address Arjuna as He Partha, He Arjuna, Sake Kuru Nandaneti. In this way, Lord Krishna would address Arjuna in so many different words. And Arjuna is telling Yudhishthira, I am remembering all the sweet words of Krishna and that sweet smile of Krishna. And my heart is now overwhelmed thinking about all this. And then Arjuna says in text 19, Shayya sanatana vikantana bhojanadishu Aikyadvayasya ratavan iti vipralabdha Sakyu sakeva pitravatana yasya sarvam Sehe mahan mahitaya kumater aghamme. So Lord Krishna is, Arjuna is telling about Lord Krishna. Both of us, Krishna and Arjuna, would sleep together. Shayya is they would sleep together. So very often Lord Krishna would sleep on the same bed of Arjuna. They would sleep together. Asana, they would sit together and then they would loiter together. In this way, Arjuna is remembering all the intimate time that he spent with Lord Krishna. And sometimes Arjuna would also make fun of Krishna because both are friends. In friendship, there is fun also. So sometimes Arjuna would tell Lord Krishna, my dear friend, you speak only lies. And what Arjuna is saying is correct also sometimes. Lord Krishna is expert in playing around. So Arjuna would tell Krishna, my dear Krishna, we can't trust you, you are very untruthful. So in this way Arjuna is saying, even in those times where I minimized Krishna's value, Krishna still tolerated me. How? Just like a father tolerates a son or a friend tolerates another friend. In this way Arjuna is remembering that how Lord Krishna is that supreme Lord, but still Lord Krishna is very, very humble. And Srila Prabhupada writes here, generally in the Vedic literatures, Lord Krishna is glorified in so many ways. The Brahmanas glorify Krishna. But Prabhupada writes here, the Lord relishes the chastisement of his friends, parents and fiancés more than even the Vedic hymns. Why? Because all this is done out of great love. When the gopis would chastise Krishna or Yashoda would punish Krishna, Krishna loves that more than even the glorification of the Vedas. So in this way Arjuna is remembering all his wonderful intimate relationship with Krishna. And then he says, text 20, Soham Ripendra Rahita Purushottamena Sakya Priyena Surada Hridayena Shunya Advani Urukrama Parigraham Angarakshan Goper Asadbir Abaleva Virinjitosmi Soham Ripendra Rahita Purushottamena. My dear king, my dear emperor of the entire world, Rahita Purushottamena. Now I am separated from my friend who is Purushottama, the best of all personalities. Sakya Priyena Suradha Hridayena Shunya. And my heart now appears completely void. I am missing a very important personality in my life. And then Arjuna says, without Krishna, in the absence of Krishna, even a group of infidels, some simple coward men with sticks in their hand, they defeated me. So the story is like this. When Lord Krishna, after he winded up his pastime, Arjuna was there in Dwarka. So Arjuna was bringing all the wives of Lord Krishna back to Hastinapur in order to keep them in safety. That time a group of coward people attacked Arjuna and they were trying to kidnap the wives of Krishna. And Arjuna couldn't do anything. He completely lost the battle. And Arjuna is recognizing this point that I am such a powerful warrior, I couldn't do anything because it was Krishna's mercy that is now removed away from my life. So Prabhupada writes in the purport, so someone may question, how can some people touch the body of the wives of Lord Krishna? The wives of Lord Krishna are completely spiritual. How this can happen? So Prabhupada writes in the purport, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, one of our great acharyas, has justified this contradiction. So one time the story comes in the Vishnu Puran and Brahma Puran. So one time the daughters of the demigods, they pleased Ashtavakra Muni. And Ashtavakra Muni blessed them that you will have Supreme Lord as your husband. And they all became very happy. But because Ashtavakra is bent in 8 places, his movement is like, when he walks, it's very funny. So when he started to walk, all these girls started to laugh at Ashtavakra. So Ashtavakra Muni cursed them. You will get the Supreme Lord as your husband, but because you are laughing at me, I curse you that at one time some rogues will kidnap you. So all these girls ask forgiveness from Ashtavakra Muni. So they say, don't worry, but again you will get back your husband. So Prabhupada writes here that Krishna only came in the form of these coward men and Krishna only kidnapped them. Right? So Krishna only took them away. And the Prabhupada also mentions that many of these wives, they left their bodies at that time and entered into the spiritual world. Because Lord Krishna winded up his pastime, Lord Krishna wanted all his associates also to come back. To some way or the other, all the associates are now going back. So in this way, Arjuna is remembering that how he was defeated by simple coward men and Arjuna is not able to do anything. Text 21 is an important verse. From next chapter, I will try my best to show all the Sanskrit verses on the screen because many devotees don't have the book. It's difficult for you all to follow. From the next chapter, we'll try to do that. But those who have the book, this time you all can repeat. But this is a very beautiful verse of Arjuna. Text 21. Tadvai dhanus tad ishava sarato hayaste soham rati nripatayo yata amanandi sarvam shanena tad abud asad ishariktam Basmam utam kuhakaradam ivoptam ushyam. This verse is on the screen. It's very small, I didn't see it. So basically, Arjuna says, Tadvai Dhanus. Now these group of infidels, these coward men have defeated me. I have the same Gandiva in my hand, which I used in the Kurukshetra war, which I used to conquer demigods. I have the same arrows with me. I have that same chariot with me. And I am the same Arjuna. But still, Ishariktam. So now after Krishna is gone, none of this is useful now. Everything has become null and void. And then Arjuna gives two examples. Just like when there is ashes, the fire is gone, only ashes are there. How much ever ghee you put, there's not going to be any fire. Or someone may have like a magic wand. You may move around like this, but there's not going to be any money that is going to come. Or you may have the best of seed, but if the land is barren, nothing is going to grow. So Arjuna in this way is saying, Yudhishthir, I am the same Arjuna, I have the same Gandiva, I have the same arrows, but my power is taken away from me. So Prabhupada writes here, we have discussed this many times, especially in this chapter, one should not be puffed up by borrowed plumes. If you have borrowed something from someone, what is there to be puffed up? It's never yours. So what we have is never ours. Everything is given by Krishna. So it's given by Krishna, what is there to be proud of? So Prabhupada mentions here, Lord Krishna, he gives someone's power and then he takes that power back when he feels that it's no longer needed. And Prabhupada gives an example, just like this bulb may throw light and may show its power. But because the bulb is connected to that powerhouse, that's why there is power. As soon as that connection is gone, the bulb will remain as it is, a decorative piece, it has no value. Similarly, material civilization, people may be very proud of the things in this world, the achievements, but Prabhupada says this is all like child's play. As long as a parent allows the child to play, the child plays. As soon as a parent decides wind up, the child has to wind up. So similarly, we are playing in this world and we feel that we are winning, we are doing this, we are doing that, like World Cup. Spain won, all these things are happening in this world. Someone is celebrating, someone is crying, the Spain is celebrating, Argentina is crying. But all this is just like for Krishna, probably Krishna is sitting there on top and laughing, right? So human civilization, basically, people are trying to do so many things, but when that Krishna's grace is removed, then we are completely useless, we will not have any power. So in this way, Arjuna confirms to Yudhishthir. Yudhishthir already had got confirmation seeing all the omens. Now Arjuna confirms to Yudhishthira that Krishna has left me and gone and all my power is also gone. Text 22-23. Rajam stvayanu prishnana suradamna suratpure viprashapa vibodhanam nignatam mushtibirmita varunim madiram vitva Madonmatita chetasam Agyanatam ivonyanyam Chatu pancha vasheshita. So basically, if you remember the previous chapter, Yudhishthira had asked Arjuna, how is Lord Krishna or is Krishna there in this world? And also Yudhishthira had asked Arjuna about all the relatives of Dwarka. How is Ugrasen, how is this, Shamba and all these personalities. So in answer to that, Arjuna says, my dear king, you had asked me about our friends and relatives in Dwarka. I want to tell you that Vipra Shapa Vimudhanam, the Brahmanas have cursed them. They attained a curse. You all know the story, right? One time, the son of Lord Krishna, Samba, the boys, they wanted to play a prank on the sadhus. They made him like a pregnant woman and they took him to the sadhus and asked him whether he's going to give birth to a boy or a girl. So the sadhus told him this Samba is going to give birth to a lump of flesh, a lump of iron, sorry, and this lump of iron is going to be the cause of the destruction of the entire Yadukul. So these people became very, very scared, and as their curse was there, very soon Samba gave birth to a lump of iron. So they took this lump of iron to Ugrasen Maharaj. So Ugrasen told them, make this into fine powder, throw it in the ocean. So they made it into fine powder, threw it in the ocean. And floating from Dwarka, this powder reached Somnath, ya Prabhakshetra. So one time Lord Krishna tells all of them, let us go to Somnath, Prabhakshetra and take our bath. So all the Yadukul people come there, and this same fine powder from this grass the grass was born basically. So this grass was iron. So these people, they did their yajna and they drank some kind of wine, Prabhupada writes, fermented rice. If you have too much fermented rice, that's also like a wine, right? Varunam Pitva. And they became so intoxicated, they couldn't recognize each other. They started to beat each other and killed each other. So Arjuna says, other than 4 or 5 people, everyone is dead and gone. Text 24. This section 24 to 31 is a very important section of how Arjuna focuses. Now the Supreme Lord is gone. Arjuna focuses on the instructions that Lord Krishna gave him on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Text 24, sorry. Praneyaitat bhagavata Ishwarasya vicheshtitam mito nignanti bhutani bhavayanti chayanmitha. So after Arjuna speaks about the destruction of the Yadu dynasty, they're fighting with each other. Arjuna says, all this is by the will of that Supreme Lord. Sometimes people protect each other, sometimes people kill each other by the will of God. So Prabhupada writes in the purport, there are 2 laws in this world which we study, right? The anthropologists, the Darwin's theory basically. One is a law of struggle, the struggle for existence, and the survival of the fittest. These 2 laws are there. But Prabhupada says, but most people don't understand that behind these 2 laws is Krishna, who is orchestrating these laws. So therefore, sometimes there is fight between people and sometimes there is peace between people. And Prabhupada mentions here, when there is fight, when there is war, when people become disobedient to the laws of God, then there is war amongst each other. And if you want peace, Prabhupada mentions, we have to keep Krishna in the center. Yat karosi yad asnasi yad juhosi dadasi yat. So Lord Krishna says, whatever you eat, whatever you give in charity, whatever you sacrifice you do it for me. So Prabhupada mentions, this should be our aim of life. What is the aim of life? Always guided by the pleasure of the Lord. How should we make decisions? How we should do our action? Will Krishna be happy with this? So Prabhupada says there is no room for personal whim. This should be the guiding force. And this is called Yoga Karmashu Kaushalam. Lord Krishna tells in the Bhagavad Gita, Yoga Karmashu Kaushalam, matlab the art of doing things. And what is the art of doing things? Keeping Krishna in the center. If we do this, we can avoid war. Otherwise, there is going to be war. People are going to fight like cats and dogs. So in this way, the entire Yadukul was destroyed. Because why did Lord Krishna destroy the Yadukul? It is explained in the next verse. Text 25, 26. Jalokasam jale yadvan mahanto danti aniyasha durbalan balino rajan mahanto balino mita evam balister yadubir mahadbir itaran vibo yadun yadubir anyonyam Bhubaran samjaharaha. So Arjuna gives an example. Just like in a ocean, a bigger fish eats up a smaller fish. Similarly, what the Lord does, sometimes the Lord comes personally to destroy people. Sometimes the Lord just creates fights. And a bigger guy destroys a smaller guy. And there'll be a bigger guy than this bigger guy who will destroy this bigger guy. Like this, it will keep going on. So in this way, in order to lighten the burden of the earth, why did Lord Krishna come? Because Bhudevi, Dharti Mata, goes to Lord Krishna and tells, there's a lot of burden on me. Please reduce it. So Lord Krishna comes to reduce that burden. Lord Krishna in the Kurukshetra war, the final set of burden Lord Krishna removed. But Lord Krishna also felt that if after I am gone, the Yadukul will be too much out of control. They'll be too powerful. So Lord Krishna wanted to reduce that. So what Lord Krishna did? The stronger Yadu killed the weaker one, and the bigger Yadu killed the smaller one. So Prabhupada writes in the purport, as we discussed, there is struggle of existence, survival of the fittest. You see, in this world, there is too much disparity. Small, big, powerful, weak. There's too much disparity. And in this way, there's a control of resources that is maintained. And why this disparity? Because Prabhupada says here, because we all want to be that Supreme Lord. We try to be the Supreme Lord, but there's another Supreme Lord who comes and overpowers us. Right? Like 2 days ago was the World Cup. Messi has been winning. This time he couldn't do anything, he couldn't score his goal. It's always like that. You will have someone who will overpower you at some time. Right? No one can become a permanent king in this world. And these things keep happening. But Prabhupada mentions here, in the spiritual world, this disparity is not there. Small, big, powerful, weak, it's not there. In this world, it's all a world of duality. If you go back to that spiritual world, there is no disparity. And because there is no disparity, there is no struggle for existence. And Prabhupada mentions, because we have forgotten our eternal connection with Krishna in the spiritual world, we are struggling hard for existence in this material world, right? Trying to prove ourselves, trying to fight and compete. And in this way, Arjuna is telling Yudhishthira that all the Yadu dynasty is also destroyed. Text 27, Arjuna says, this is a very important verse again. Desha kalartha yuktani hrittapo pashamani cha haranti smaratas chittam govinda vihitani me. So Arjuna's, we all have at least got a little idea of Arjuna's emotion and the Arjuna's sorrow and the kind of feelings that he's going through. So now Arjuna is saying, haranti smaratas chittam govinda vihitani cha. Now Krishna is no longer there with Arjuna. Previously, whenever Arjuna would have a problem, ask Krishna, simple. Now Krishna is not there. What will Arjuna do? So Arjuna, what he started to do? He tells Yudhishthira, my dear king, now I am attracted to those instructions that Lord Krishna gave me on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Why? Because those instructions was not only for that time. So therefore says, Desha kalartha yuktani. So Bhagavad Gita is meant for all desha, all places, all time and in all circumstance. So Arjuna is saying, my dear Yudhishthira, now I am attracted to those instructions which is applicable always. And what will happen when we take shelter of Krishna's instructions? Hrittapo pashamanicha. The burning in our heart, the suffering that we are going through, it will be relieved. All the pains and sufferings that we are going through, it will be relieved. That's the benefit of taking shelter of Bhagavad Gita. So Prabhupada writes in the purport, Bhagavad Gita was imparted to Arjuna, but it was not only for Arjuna, it is for all time, all lands. Desha kala artha yuktani. All countries and all times. It's applicable now also. And then Prabhupada says, Lord Krishna knew that people don't have time to read the entire Vedic literatures. So Lord Krishna removed the essence of all Vedic literatures and gave it in the form of Bhagavad Gita, only 700 verses. That's it. And Prabhupada says here, that the problem that arose in Arjuna's heart, in Bhagavad Gita, in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Now, after Lord Krishna's departure, again Arjuna is going through that same kind of depression, the same kind of feeling of loneliness and like that. And Arjuna again takes shelter of Krishna and Krishna's Bhagavad Gita. And Prabhupada mentions here, similarly, we all go through mental agonies and so many things. Therefore, the only solace for all of us is the message of Bhagavad Gita. Srila Prabhupada, when he was going to America on that ship Jaladuta, Prabhupada was feeling very alone, like Arjuna is feeling separation from Krishna. Prabhupada was staying in Vrindavan. Prabhupada is going to a foreign country, no one. Prabhupada is feeling a lot of separation from Vrindavan Dham. And that too, it was Janmashtami time. First time Prabhupada had to celebrate Janmashtami on a ship. Prabhupada was celebrating Janmashtami in Vrindavan Dham, he has to celebrate on a ship. So Prabhupada was practically missing everything. But Prabhupada's solace was, Prabhupada mentions there in his notes, his solace was he was reading Chaitanya Charitamrita. So these books are solace for all of us. And we have to keep going to these books again and again. And Prabhupada mentions here, Bhagavad Gita can be consulted in all critical times, not only for solace from all kinds of mental agonies, but also this is the way to go out of all great entanglements which may embarrass at some critical time or the other. So we will all go through situations in life, and what Arjuna is teaching here is we have to take shelter of the instructions of Bhagavad Gita. And then Prabhupada mentions here, Bhagavad Gita, even when Lord Krishna is not physically present, the merciful Lord left behind him his great teachings of Bhagavad Gita so that one can take the instructions of the Lord even when he is not visible to the material eyesight. Now Arjuna can't see Krishna again. Similarly, we can't see Krishna. But Arjuna took shelter of Bhagavad Gita. That Gita is available for all of us because Bhagavad Gita is non-different than Krishna. And then Prabhupada mentions how Bhagavad Gita mentions 5 important topics like that. Right? So this is something that's very important. If you want to get relieved of all our suffering, we have to learn to take shelter of the message of Bhagavad Gita. Text 28. Suta uvacha evam chintayato jishno Krishna pada saroruham sohardai nati gadhena shantasyat vimalamati evam chintayato jishno Krishna pada saroruham. So in this way, Arjuna started to think of the instructions of Krishna. So thinking of Krishna and thinking of the instructions of Krishna are the same. And he started to think about it deeply. So this deep absorption is something that is very important. We can practice spiritual life on a superficial level or on a deep level. So Arjuna started to deeply think about these instructions. And these instructions were spoken to Arjuna in great deep friendship. And as soon as Arjuna started to focus on these instructions, what happened? Santashit Vimala Mati. His mind became pacified. If you saw the starting of the chapter, Arjuna was very confused, lot of emotions going on in his heart. Lot of different kind of emotions. Now Arjuna is pacified. There is steadiness and his mind is free from all contamination. So Prabhupada writes in the purport, Lord is like the sun. Krishna Surya Sama Maya Hai Andhakar. Jahan Krishna Taha Nahi Maya Radhikar. Krishna is like the sun and Maya is like illusion. When there is darkness, there is confusion. It's like you enter into a room and there is no light, pitch dark room, you'll get very scared. There's a lot of different thoughts that will come. But as soon as you put on that switch, light is there, everything is clear. So similarly, when there is confusion, that means there is no knowledge. As soon as we take shelter of the wisdom of Gita, which is like putting on that switch, all confusion is gone. So therefore, Prabhupada mentions here, Mahaprabhu has recommended Kirtaniya Sadahari. We have to be in touch with Krishna constantly. Satatam Kirtayanto Mam Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. We have to take shelter of Krishna's holy name. We have to keep reading Gita, keep reading Bhagavatam. And in this way, we will be freed from all embarrassment and we will be very pacified in this world. Text 29. वासुदेवांग्रि अनुध्यान परिभ्रमित रम्हसा भक्त्या निर्मतिता शेष शयाय दिशनो अर्जुन. Vasudevangri Anudhyana. Anudhyana is constant remembrance. So as Arjuna is remembering the lotus feet of Krishna, Vasudevangri Anudhyana, Paribhrahmita Rammasa, Arjuna's devotion is increasing rapidly. Rapid increase in his devotion. Arjuna's bhakti is already there, but as soon as he is starting to think about Krishna, that bhakti becomes more and more stronger. So this is the way we increase that intensity in bhakti, right? Just like, you have a satellite. To throw that satellite into space, you have to shoot that satellite in great speed. It has to cross that escape velocity and then it will move off beyond gravity. So similarly, if you want to go beyond this world, that intensity has to be there. And what does that intensity mean? Constant remembrance about Krishna. And what is the result? Shayaya Dishano Arjuna. When that intensity is very strong, what happens? All impurities are destroyed in our heart. Shayaya's impurities destroyed. So whatever little impurities, confusing thoughts were there, everything destroyed in Arjuna's heart. Just like when there is fire, all impurities are burnt. So similarly, Prabhupada mentions here in the purport, material desires means trash of material contamination. Garbage basically. We are like expert in collecting garbage and storing it in our hearts, right? So this contamination, because of this contamination, material contamination, we are caught between what is pleasant to us, what is unpleasant to us, we are caught in this world of duality, what is pleasing, what is displeasing. But as soon as we take shelter of Krishna's message, the Bhagavad Gita, the message of Bhagavad Gita is like fire. Lord Krishna also tells in the Bhagavad Gita, it is like fire. As soon as you take shelter of the message of Bhagavad Gita, you may have like a huge stock of wood, like a mountain of wood. To burn a mountain of wood, do you need a mountain of fire? One little fire is enough. It will keep increasing. Okay? So how much ever trash we have in our mind, that one fire is good enough. One constant fire can burn everything away. In this way, Arjuna's whatever little contamination or confusion that was there, everything was destroyed by the power of bhakti. Text 30. Geetam Bhagavata Jnanam Yattat Sangrama Murdani Kala Karma Tamorudham Punar Adhya Gamat Prabho. So, Arjuna, Geetam Bhagavata Jnanam Yattat Sangrama Murdani. So because Arjuna took shelter of Geetam Bhagavata Jnana, the message of Bhagavad Gita, which was spoken on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, what happened? Arjuna again at once gained his remembrance. For some time it appeared that he has lost his spiritual knowledge, but he gained it back and again he became Prabhu. What does Prabhu mean? Again he became the master of his mind and senses. So Prabhupada writes here in the purport, the nature of this material world is that sometimes it may appear that you have forgotten your knowledge, your spiritual knowledge. But spiritual knowledge once gained, it will come back soon again. Lord Krishna tells in the Bhagavad Gita, Neha Vikrama Nashosti Pratyavayo na vidyate Shalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Even if you do little bhakti, little Krishna Gatha that we are investing in, it may appear that we are forgetting it. It happens many times. You come for a class and then when you walk out in 1 week you have forgotten it. Or you read Gita, it appears that you have forgotten it. But these things are subtly very stored. They are stored in a very subtle way on the level of the Atma. And when it is needed, it will all come. Our Gaurang Guru tells one story. There was one young devotee from our Bombay temple. One young boy. He had gone to America, US, and he visited one of our ISKCON temples. He was staying there for some time. So it was some festival, Radhastami, some festival, and the temple president told him, "You are from Chowpatty, Radhanath Maharaj's place. Definitely you can give good lectures. Give a class." This fellow has never given any class in his life, and he was thinking, "How can I give?" But because he has been hearing so much, he started to give. And he spoke for like 4 or 5 hours continuous. And the president had to tell him that now it's Aarti time, Abhishek time, please stop. So this fellow didn't know that he remembered so much. He just started to come one after another. So similarly, it may appear that we forget these knowledge, these instructions, but it will come back to us. And there are so many stories like that. We have the story of Gajendra, right? Gajendra was that elephant who offered prayers to Krishna, and Krishna came and helped him liberate, kill that crocodile. And Gajendra, in his previous life, he had learned some shlokas, some prayers as King Indradyumna. Those prayers were useful. You have the story of Yamunacharya, the Sri Sampradaya. Before Ramanujacharya, there's this great personality called Yamunacharya. He was a great devotee in his childhood, but later on he became a king and he forgot everything. He became completely materialistic. But again that remembrance came back and he became a great Acharya again. Srila Prabhupada's life himself. Srila Prabhupada's father had planted the seed of bhakti. But Prabhupada, when he went into his college, for some time it appeared that Prabhupada, forgot it. But then all the remembrance comes back again. So similarly, Arjuna gained his power of bhakti back. Text 31. Vishoka Brahma Sampatya Sanchinna Dvaita Samshaya Leena Prakriti Nairgunya Alingatvat Asambhava. Vishoka Brahma Sampatya. What does the word Sampatti mean? What does the word Sampatti mean? Wealth. Wealth, na? Sampatti, ya. Your assets basically, right? Your assets, Sampatti. So Brahma Sampatya means spiritual assets, spiritual wealth. In this world, is there any spiritual wealth? It is all material asset. You have to leave and go, right? You have to leave everything and go. But Arjuna's real wealth was what? Spiritual asset. Brahma Sampatya. So in this world, we need to earn money. But more important than that is also to earn spiritual asset, spiritual wealth. That's very important. So Arjuna had this, because he had this spiritual asset, Vishoka, very soon he forgot all his sorrow. All his sorrow was destroyed. And Sanchinna Dvaita Samshaya, all his doubts were destroyed. Because he again started to remember the instructions of Bhagavad Gita. And why do doubts come? Dvaita Samshaya. In this world, because there is duality, good, bad, honor, dishonor, the mind keeps fluctuating in the world of duality, friend, enemy, and there is so much confusion that comes. When we go beyond this duality, all doubts are destroyed. And in this way, Arjuna came in a position of transcendence. And what does transcendence mean? Leena Prakriti Nairgunyad. He became free from 3 modes, Sattva, Raja, Tamo. He came to a very spiritual level called Vishuddha Sattva. Alingatvat Asambhava. Alingatvat means there was no longer any need for him to accept another body. That means he was free from his material body also. So Prabhupada writes in the purport, I don't know how many of you are doing it, please go back and read the purports of Srila Prabhupada. These classes are only meant to help you all to go back and read the purports. That's the purpose of the class. So Prabhupada mentions in the purport that duality begins when we start to accept the body as ourselves. And because we start to identify with the body, we come in this misconception of aham mameti, I and mine. And we are always in this duality. My body, my relatives, my wife, my property, my this, my that, and so many contemplations that go on. But there is no space for contemplating on Krishna. And all these thoughts keep affecting or troubling people's mind. And therefore, in order to get rid of all this, we need to come to the platform of knowledge. And what does knowledge mean? Knowledge means to understand that nothing is mine, everything is Krishna's. Bahunam janmanam ante jnanamama prapadyate vasudeva sarvamidhi. Everything is Krishna. My property is Krishna, everything is Krishna. We saw there. Arjuna explains that my wealth, my wife, everything is by Krishna's mercy. In this way, when we are in that connection with Krishna, we get rid of this world of duality. And Prabhupada mentions here, how is it possible for all of us? Very simple. Even in the present time, Prabhupada says, by attainment of absolute knowledge, One can be in the association of the Lord constantly, even in this present life, simply by hearing, chanting, thinking, and worshipping the Lord. It's not that only after going to Krishna you can feel Krishna's presence. Now also, if you are connected constantly to chanting, hearing, reading, we are constantly in touch with Krishna. And if you are in touch with Krishna, what will happen? Vishoka, sorrow will go. Brahma Sampatya, we will gain spiritual asset. Sanchinna Dvaita Samshaya, all our doubts will be destroyed. We'll go beyond duality. Leena Prakriti Nairgunyat, will become free from modes. And then finally, Alingatvat Asambhava. Finally, we'll go to a stage where we no longer need a material body. Text 32. So from 32 to 44. So basically, this till here was Arjuna speaking. How Arjuna tells Yudhishthira that Lord Krishna is gone, I have lost all my power. He starts to remember all the various incidences in his life. And then he starts to remember the instructions of Bhagavad Gita and becomes pacified. Now the last section is after Arjuna speaks all this, what does Yudhishthira do? How Yudhishthira retires? Should I do a few verses or should we stop here? Whatever. We can do a few verses. Okay, let's see how much we go. Text 32. Nishamya Bhagavan Margam Samstam Yadukulasya Cha Swapataya Matim Chakre Nibritatma Yudhishthira. Nishamya Bhagavan Margam. When Yudhishthira heard that Lord Krishna is gone from the earth to the spiritual world, and Samstam Yadukulasya Cha, and when Yudhishthira heard that the Yadukul is also gone, what did Yudhishthira decide to do? Swapataya Matim Chakre. Yudhishthira decided, I will also follow that path. I will also go back to that spiritual world. Nibritatma Yudhishthira. So Yudhishthira decided, now I will also go to the spiritual world. So Prabhupada writes here, Yudhishthira also turned his attention to Bhagavad Gita and he started to deliberate on Krishna's appearance. And then he started to analyze that Krishna, he appeared, he established Dharma, now Krishna is gone. Now I will also follow Krishna's path and go back to the spiritual world. So that's how Yudhishthira decides to go. He decides that now Krishna is not there in this world. There is no need for me to continue. There is no reason for me to be there. I will also walk off. Text 33. Pratapi Anushrutya Dhananjayoditam Nasham Yaduna Bhagavad Gatim Chatam Ekanta Bhaktya Bhagavati Adokshaje Niveshitatma Paroma Rama Samsate. So, when this discussion was going on between Arjuna and Yudhishthira, Kunti overheard this. Right? So, when two people are having some discussion on Krishna, even if someone overhears it, there is benefit. Right? There is a lot of benefit. So, Kunti overheard this of the disappearance of Lord Krishna and the Yadu dynasty, and she also decided that I will also follow that same path. And what she does? Ekanta Bhaktya Bhagavati Adokshaje. This word Ekanta Bhaktya is important. You will see in this rest of the verses ahead, this word Ekanta Bhaktya comes many times. What does Ekanta Bhaktya mean? Ekanta Bhaktya means one-pointed devotion. Matlab, not moving here and there. Focused devotion, unalloyed devotion. So Kunti, she decided Niveshitatma Uparama Samsrute. To get rid of this material existence, what is the only solution? Ekanta Bhaktya Bhagavati Adokshaji. Only devotion to Krishna. So Prabhupada writes here that when Krishna leaves, that means the sun of Krishna is set. Prabhupada mentions in the previous purport and this purport. Just like simple, how do you understand Krishna's disappearance? Like you have the sun rising in the morning and setting in the night. When the sun sets in the night, do we say the sun is dead? The sun is not dead. The sun is there, only you and I can't see. So therefore, the sun's, it's called a disappearance, it's not called death of the sun. Similarly, Prabhupada says, if the sun only doesn't have death, Krishna who is the source of the sun, how he can have death? So it's called Krishna's appearance and disappearance. That means Krishna is there somewhere doing his Leela. So similarly, even when Krishna's great devotees disappear, we still call them disappearance. They are there in some way. So Kunti, after hearing all this, she decides, let me go back to the spiritual world. To go to a new place, you need a passport. To go to the spiritual world, what is the passport? The passport is devotional service. The only passport that is accepted there, or the only visa that is accepted there. So Kunti Maharani, she prepared for going back to Godhead by accepting the process of bhakti. Coming Saturdays, Ashadi Ekadashi, we see Tukaram Maharaj's life. So someone may say, this is 5,000 years ago, do you have a recent story? 500 years ago, Tukaram Maharaj also followed that same process. Chanting, reading, hearing, he did that. And he also goes back to the spiritual world. Text 34. Yaya harad bhuvo bharam tam tanum vijaha vaja kantakam kantake neva doyam chapi shitu samam. So Arjuna gives an example here. Sorry, this is Sutta Goswami basically. Sutta Goswami. So the example is given here that Lord Krishna, as I told you, he comes to reduce the burden. And how does Lord Krishna do it? Lord Krishna, he uses someone to destroy someone else. And here the example is given, Kantakam Kantakaineva. If you are walking in a forest and a thorn has pierced your leg, what will you do? There is no pin or anything like that. You have to use another thorn to remove the first thorn. That's how you do it. So Prabhupada writes in the purport, there are two kinds of living entities. One demigods, one demons. Sura, Asura. Both are children of God. But a demon is a thorn in Krishna's leg. He gives pain to Krishna. So what does Lord Krishna do? To remove these demons, he uses another thorn, the devotees. So in this way, Lord Krishna used the Yadukul, the Pandavas, to remove the thorn of the demons. Now, after you do that, then what do? You throw the other thorn also away. So Lord Krishna decided that, okay, let this also go away. So Prabhupada writes also in the purport that someone may say that how can Yadukul personalities or all devotees, how can they just kill each other like this? So Prabhupada writes in the purport, this is also Krishna's will. Krishna wanted them also to go back to the spiritual world. And Yadukul people are so powerful that no one could destroy them. The only way they could be eliminated was when they fight amongst each other. So Krishna wanted them to go back to the spiritual world. So the point here is, we don't have to worry too much about how devotees depart. We have our own concept of a peaceful death and not peaceful death. That's not so important. What is most important is, have they executed Krishna's mission? In this way, Lord Krishna got rid of the Yadu dynasty also. Text 35. Yata matsyadi rupani datte jayad yatanata Bhara shapito yena jaho chacha kalevaram. So the Supreme Lord also, this is also something that people can't understand. How did Lord Krishna depart? That hunter came and shot that arrow and Krishna departed. How can this happen? So here, Prabhupada, Sutta Goswami gives this example. Just like a magician, what does a magician do? A magician sometimes, he burns his own body to ashes, sometimes he cuts his body, he does different things. But this is all illusion for your eyes. Nothing has happened to him. You just feel it like that. Similarly, Lord Krishna is just doing a illusion to all of you that the hunter has come and shot him and all that. But nothing has happened to Krishna. In this way, Lord Krishna takes on various avatars and continues his pastimes eternally in this world. So Prabhupada writes here the word dhatte. There is a word called dhatte. What does dhatte mean? Dhatte jayad yatanata. That means like a Matsya avatar or any avatar of Krishna. It is not that Lord Krishna accepts it once. These avatars are eternally there. There is an eternal Matsya avatar in the spiritual world. These avatars are eternally there. So in this way, Lord Krishna takes these various avatars just to show mercy to people in this world. But people who are foolish, when they hear about Krishna's departure, they feel that Arey, Krishna is also like you and me. I also have a birth, Krishna also has a birth. Krishna also dies, I also die. This is just an illusion. People who are foolish, they are not able to appreciate Krishna in his transcendental feature. So in this way, Krishna, he also departs. Text 36. Yada mukundo bhagavani mahim jaho satanva shravaniya satkata tadahar eva pratibhuta chetasam abhadra hetur karil anvavartata. So if you see this words, the first line has the word yada and the third line has the word tada. So yada tada is basically when, then, like that. So here it says, when the yada mukundo bhagavan iham mahim jahos tanva shravaniya satkata. When the Supreme Lord, and who the Supreme Lord? Shravaniya satkata. Hearing about Krishna is worthwhile. When this Krishna left this world, tada, from that day on, Kali Yuga starts. So when does Kali Yuga start technically? When Lord Krishna departs, from that day, Kali Yuga starts. And what is Kali Yuga? Eva pratibhuta chetasam abhadra hetur kalir anvavartata. Kali Yuga is considered very inauspicious, but inauspicious for whom? For those who have no knowledge. Pratibhuta chetasam, people who don't have any knowledge, Kali Yuga is very, very dangerous for them. So Prabhupada writes here, that means anyone who has knowledge about Krishna is not influenced so much by the influence of Kali Yuga. So when Yudhishthir understood that Krishna has gone, and when Yudhishthir saw that after Krishna has gone, symptoms of Kali Yuga have come. We saw the previous chapter, no? Yudhishthir is already seeing the symptoms of Kali Yuga. So Yudhishthir was very intelligent. What did Yudhishthir do? Yudhishthir decided, I don't want to stay in this Kali Yuga. Prabhupada mentions many times, Kali Yuga or this material world is not a place for gentlemen. Right? This world is a place for mental men. Crazy people are there in this world. Intelligent people are not there in this world. They all go back to the spiritual world. So what does Yudhishthir do? Text 37. Yudhishthirastad pari sarpanambuda pure che rashtre cha grihe tatatmani vibhavya lobanartha jimma himsa nadi hadharma chakram gamanaya prayadhat. Yudhishthirastar parisarpanam buddha. So Yudhishthir, he was very intelligent. And what is intelligence? He started to observe the influence of Kali Yuga. And where did he observe this? Pure che rashtre cha grihe tatatmani. Kali Yuga, after Lord Krishna's departure, had infiltrated the capital, the state, houses of people, and even the hearts of people. Everywhere Kali Yuga has entered very deeply. The virus has entered everywhere. And what is Kali Yuga? Kali Yuga is a place, Lobha, so it says, Lobha anartha jimma himsa nadi, adharma. So basically Kali Yuga is a place, a time when there is avarice, falsehood, cheating, violence, and adharma. Everywhere. Corruption is rampant everywhere. Practically everywhere. So Yudhishthir decided, I just want to retire and go. He dressed himself accordingly. So Prabhupada mentions here, now only 5,000 years of Kali Yuga have gone. Already is like too much to handle. Imagine 27,000 years to go. What else is in store as Kali Yuga progresses? So Yudhishthir was a great devotee. He was not afraid of Kali Yuga. It's not that he was afraid of Kali Yuga. But he decided, today or tomorrow I have to anywhere retire. I have to go continue my life back to God and let me do it now. And secondly, Yudhishthir also wanted to set an example. If I don't retire, no one else will retire. And Prabhupada mentions that as soon as there is someone else who is capable of handling, hand on and retire. So Yudhishthira decided Parikshit is now good enough to handle the situation. I don't have to be there, redundant. He just gave it to Parikshit and started to walk away, follow the path of dharma, and attain that Supreme Lord. Text 38. We have how many verses to go? 51. How many verses total? 51 is like 38, 51. Huh?
Good enough for one class.
Huh?
Good enough for one class.
Good enough for one class. So then we can stop here. Probably I'll do one more verse and then we'll stop. Okay? There is small section left. We'll do it the next time. We'll do one more verse. Text 38. Swarat potram vinayinam atmana shushaman gunai toya nivyapatim bhumne abhyasinchat gajavyaye. So it's not that Yudhishthira just walked away like that, right? In the Gajavyaye is the capital of Hastinapur. In the capital of Hastinapur, he enthroned his grandson. Putra, Pautra means grandson. And who was his grandson? Parikshit. And what is the word used for Parikshit? Vinayinam. Vinayinam matlab perfectly trained boy. And what does training Prabhupada explains here? The training means he knew all military arts and all that, but the training was basically he had great quality of being a devotee. That was the training. The Pandav line, the only training was make him a devotee. Prabhupada mentions that in many places. Character reformation means let someone become a devotee, rest all will happen on its own. Right? Real education means giving people bhakti. So Parikshit was a great devotee. So Yudhishthira was rest assured that this boy will do it, perfectly trained by sadhus. Swarat potram vinayinam atmanam shushaman gune. And he was completely qualified. So he made Parikshit the emperor of the entire world. And in those days, the king of Hastinapur had power not only over lands of the world, but even seas of the world. We are seeing today in oil crisis, sea is also very important, sea route. So Parikshit practically became the king of everything. And Prabhupada mentions here, when people are trained, I'll just read this line, everyone was trained to attain the highest goal of life. And therefore the people who are enlightened enough not to quarrel over trivialities. So when you have a big goal in life, small things you don't fight over. You just forget it and go. Right? But if you don't have that big goal, even small petty things you will start to fight. Kali Yuga is an age like that. We have to have that big goal. In this way, Parikshit is enthroned as the king. And then we will see how, last few verses left, how Yudhishthira walks towards the Himalayas, the Pandavas follow, how Draupadi follows, what happens to Vidura, and in this way the chapter ends with a lot of renunciation of all these personalities. So we'll stop at this point. We'll conclude this chapter the next time. We are coming closer towards the end of the first canto. Next week the 15th chapter ends, 4 more chapters to go. The next 4 chapters are related to Parikshit. Now the Pandavas have gone, right? I think it was Shakespeare who said, the world is like a stage, right? You come, do your part and walk out. So in this, that's Bhagavatam, right? So we have Bhishma Dev. Bhishma Dev's chapter was there. He did his part, walked out. There's no mention of Bhishma Dev again in the Bhagavatam. The Pandavas come, do their part, walk off. Now Parikshit comes. The last 4 chapters are dedicated to Parikshit. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Yeah.
There, along with the Aksha event, here is mentioning again.
Yeah. So basically, sometimes the version of the Bhagavatam and the version of the Mahabharata are slightly different. So there, what was mentioned was Prabhupada mentioning in the purport. So there Prabhupada referred to the life of Kunti from Mahabharata. But the Bhagavatam mentions it in a slightly different way. The Mahabharata focuses more on living in this world, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. The Bhagavatam focuses more on, Golok Vrindavan, So the moods are slightly different. So you may find some Slight differences. So this is the verse of Bhagavatam that was Prabhupada mentioning in the purport, probably from Mahabharata. If you read Mahabharata, Prabhuji, you are doing Mahabharata, you will find a reference to how Kunti actually.
Give me another example.
That was from the purport,
Purport of
the previous chapter.
previous chapter. That is Srimad Bhagavatam only.
Bhagavatam only.
So there, Bhagavatam also, Prabhupada is making two different things.
Yeah. Sometimes you have, like in, we'll find in Bhagavatam, when Parikshit is cursed that he dies in 7, he's going to die in 7 days, Parikshit, he just goes and sits in front of Shukdev Goswami, hears. But the Mahabharata mentions that when Parikshit is cursed that a snake bird is going to come and bite him, the Mahabharata mentions that Parikshit makes a house of arrows and sits inside to protect himself. So now you may say, how is this? Both are correct.
7 days to 7 days. He heard Srimad Bhagavatam in 7 days.
Yeah.
And then he died.
Yeah. But the Bhagavatam says like he was fearless. He didn't try anything for his protection. But the Mahabharata says that he did try. But the mood is the same because you may try something externally. That's what the Mahabharata spoke. Mahabharata speaks about what you should do in action, practically in this world. So Mahabharata is a book of practicality. How to deal in this world. Bhagavatam is a book of transcendence. So Bhagavatam speaks about what was the heart of Parikshit. That he was not at all attached. Like that.
One is Dharma Granantha, another is Bhakti.
Correct.
One more question. This Kali Yuga started, but there is always a Sandhikal.
Sandhikal, yeah, correct.
10% of the previous one,
Correct.
Yuga will come as a Sandhikal. So there is no
Yeah, exact, definite.
There is no such a great fear that Kali Yuga is going to come tomorrow.
During you're asking about Yudhishthir. Yeah.
Yudhishthir retiring and going away out of
Correct.
Kali Yuga. So there is no need for anybody to be scared of because there is always a Sandhikala, 10% previously.
Yeah, so in that way, even though it is mentioned that after Lord Krishna's departure, Kali Yuga starts, but in one sense, Duryodhan is explained to be Kali Putra. He is only a personification of Kali Yuga. So Kali had already started. That fight, already had started. Politics had already started before. So that definitely Lord Krishna, whenever he comes in his avatars, he generally comes on a sandhya between two yugas. That is there. But Prabhupada, we saw in that purport, Prabhupada does mention that Yudhishthir didn't leave because of the fear of Kali. Yudhishthir left because he felt that it is the right time to leave. There's a boy who is grown up, trained well, capable enough to handle, and Krishna is no longer there. What is the need for me to continue?
Without Krishna, there is no point in living.
There's no point in living, and Parikshit was there, so it was a responsible living. It was not an irresponsible walk away. It was a responsible living that Yudhishthir did.
Narada also says not that you should eat something.
Exactly. Narada also told him, wait till Krishna is there. After Krishna leaves, you also leave. So he had to follow Narada's words also. Right? Okay. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I think Kajal Madri, your birthday today? Today Kajal Matri's birthday.